Welcome to today's Explainer. We're about to unravel one of the most baffling, high-tech mysteries in recent history. Picture this, right? A highly sensitive, heavily guarded shipment goes out into the night. It's tracked, it's monitored, literally every protocol is active. But just a few hours later, the most valuable cargo in the entire country just vanishes. I mean, it doesn't get stolen in a shootout, it isn't hijacked by armed thugs, it vanishes like a ghost in the machine. This is the untold story of the Phantom Network.
To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of what we're dealing with here, just look at this number, 550 crore. That is the staggering official value of the sensitive national tech that was lost in a single night. But for national security agencies, the true cost went way, way beyond just money. Imagine the absolute technological backbone of a critical national project, funded by your tax dollars, by the way, just disappearing into thin air. The stakes absolutely could not have been higher.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is the exact question that kept investigators up at night. How in the world do you steal a massive, highly secured container without breaking a single physical seal? The truck itself didn't go missing, no alarms were triggered whatsoever, the driver didn't deviate from his scheduled route, at least according to the digital logs, and yet the cargo just evaporated.
When that container finally arrived at its destination and was cracked open, well, the room fell dead silent. On the left is what was supposed to be inside. We're talking advanced processors, quantum communication units, state-of-the-art encryption modules, the whole shebang. But on the right, that's what they actually found. Literal garbage. Electronic scrap, random rocks, and totally useless chunks of metal. They basically swapped highly classified quantum processors for the contents of a local recycling bin. The contrast is just mind-blowing.
So let's rewind a bit to see how this actually went down. The scene is Conde La Porte. It's a freezing night in December 2022, and security is way tighter than usual. At precisely 12:20 a.m., the truck rolls out into the cold sea breeze. Every single document? Cleared. Digital seals? Scanned and verified. Live cameras? Watching its every single move back at the control room. It was locked down tight.
The human element was completely secure too. Driver Rakesh Chaudhry and his assistant Manoj were in charge. Now, they didn't know exactly what they were hauling, but their orders were crystal clear. Do not stop this vehicle for anyone under any circumstances. And everything seemed totally under control. They were cruising down an isolated, pitch-dark stretch of highway, keeping a steady speed, and all those tracking systems were perfectly online. But you see, here's where the technological illusion really begins. Because how do you stop a truck that has strict orders not to stop, all while the control room is actively watching? The answer is GPS spoofing. Think about when your rideshare app glitches out and shows your car on the wrong street. Now imagine that, but weaponized with absolute military precision. The attackers actually manipulated the GPS signals being beamed back to headquarters. So while the control room screens showed the truck moving smoothly down the highway, its real-world location was entirely different. They literally blinded the very system meant to protect the cargo.
And the guy behind this digital smokescreen? Viraj Sen. Once this renowned cybersecurity expert who advised massive corporations, he'd completely vanished years ago, only to pop back up in the international cybercrime underworld. Now, he was heading up a secretive syndicate known as the Phantom Network. Sitting in front of his monitors, Viraj watched the truck's blip and calmly stated, "Target is moving, GPS spoofing active, we control the surveillance network." With just a slight smile, the real game was on.
The physical trap they set was incredibly surgical. About an hour into the journey, the truck approached what looked like a totally legitimate road repair site. Barricades, flashing yellow warning lights, guys in highway worker uniforms waving them down, claiming there was an accident ahead. Rakesh, suspecting absolutely nothing, followed the diversion. He was led straight into a deserted industrial area. This fake setup? It had been planned for months, built exclusively for this exact night. As soon as the truck stopped, 3 black SUVs boxed it right in. Masked men swarmed out, but these were definitely not your standard highway robbers. No way. They were heavily armed with military-grade electronic gear. We're talking portable servers, signal jammers to block any outgoing distress calls, digital scanners. In mere seconds, they scanned and entirely bypassed the supposed uncrackable digital seal on the container. Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer, terrifying speed of it all. An identical decoy truck, matching the paint, the exact logo, the license plates, rolls out of the shadows. Using a specialized hydraulic system, they hoisted the real container off the truck and dropped the fake one, filled with all those rocks and scrap, right into its place. The entire operation took exactly 18 minutes.
Just 18 minutes. The criminals then threatened the drivers and ordered them right back onto the main highway.
Part 1. The cyber cell steps in.
When that empty container was discovered the next morning, total panic set in. Top cyber expert officer Aditi Rana immediately took over the investigation, and she realized pretty quickly they weren't dealing with petty thieves, but a highly sophisticated act of cyber warfare. Her team scrambled and found the digital breadcrumbs. They confirmed the remote GPS tampering, found the doctored highway camera feeds, but the absolute biggest break came from the inside. An IT employee named Nikil Maraha, who worked for the company receiving the shipment, had suddenly gone missing just 2 days before the heist. When they cracked open his laptop, they found a single, highly encrypted file containing just one word: Phantom.
Deep dives into the dark web over the following weeks revealed a really terrifying truth. The Phantom network operated globally, sure, but they didn't rob banks. They couldn't care less about cash. They specifically targeted sensitive technology, defense equipment, and critical national data. And the most alarming discovery of all: that stolen 550 crore rupees shipment hadn't even left the country yet. They were holding on to it for something much, much bigger.
Part 2. Operation Sand Shadow. So the realization that this cargo was still domestic led to a massive mobilization. After months of grueling surveillance, special forces finally moved in under the cover of darkness, completely surrounding an abandoned data center deep in the Rajasthan desert. Inside, they found an absolute gold mine. Dozens of encrypted communication servers and a massive cache of the stolen equipment. But on the main screen was something far more dangerous: a vast digital map highlighting sensitive logistics routes across the entire country. And this brilliantly illustrates that the 550 crore heist was literally just a test run. The Phantom network was gearing up for a massive, coordinated strike on the nation's entire logistical and technological infrastructure. As commandos breached the main control room, there was Viraj Sen, just standing there, perfectly calm, in front of all these glowing screens. Totally unfazed by the heavily armed forces leveling their weapons at him, he just smiled and chillingly whispered, "People think the system is secure. I just show the world their real weakness." Instantly, deafening alarms began blaring across the facility. Viraj had actually triggered a self-destruct protocol, literally melting down the servers to wipe all their data. The whole room just erupted into chaos. As the servers began to literally melt, commandos lunged forward, but Viraj slipped right through a hidden door at the back. What followed was this breathless, high-stakes sprint stretching for kilometers. Security forces were frantically pursuing him down into the earth, racing through a dark, treacherous labyrinth of desert tunnels and abandoned mining shafts. It was incredibly intense.
Finally, he ran out of ground. Viraj was cornered at the absolute edge of a deep, pitch-black gorge. With absolutely no way out, officers screamed for him to surrender. He stood silently for a moment. He looked at them, offered one last, knowing smile, and just stepped backward, plummeting into the darkness below.
The immediate aftermath was, as you can imagine, a massive cleanup. Search teams scoured that gorge and the surrounding desert for days, but they found absolutely no clear trace of Viraj. Thankfully, though, most of the sensitive tech from the heist was recovered. Key members of the Phantom network were rounded up and arrested, and national security agencies aggressively patched the critical vulnerabilities that this whole ordeal had exposed. But, it really leaves you wondering exactly how many backdoors still exist in the systems we rely on every single day.
And as we wrap up this explainer, we're basically left chasing a ghost. Despite that massive search, no body was ever definitively recovered. Did Viraj Sen actually die at the bottom of that gorge, or was that jump just another calculated diversion, leaving him out there in the shadows, waiting for the absolute perfect moment to breach a new system? It's the ultimate unsolved piece of the puzzle, transforming this from a mere heist into one of the greatest high-tech mysteries of our time.
So think about that the next time you assume a digital lock is truly secure. See you in the next explainer.